Today is June 5th, 2020. I'm going to do a quick Hobbit Garden review. I hope this video finds you guys in good health and in safety. Here in America, of course, there's a lot of unrest, a lot of riots, a lot of planned riots. I guess everyone is realizing that those bricks being dropped off in the major cities downtown wasn't by chance. This Antifa people, and of course these are all the Democratic cities that are being rioted in, and they're actually being given safe zones for the rioters. In fact, some of these DAs who actually were funded by Soros to get in. We had all across America, the DAs were brought into office, a lot of them with funds from Soros, and these DAs are now just releasing all the rioters. And so you can see the plan. It's all Democratic cities. Pray for America, because you know the violence is real and there are people that are getting hurt and there's businesses being destroyed. Of course, this is only going to lead to a total landslide for Donald Trump, but pray for his safety, because I think they're going to try and kill him, and that's not good. That's terrible. So I pray for the president, and I pray for his safety, and I think our unemployment is now back down to 13.3%, and the stock market is above 26,000. The Dow, which that's 10% off of the all-time high of, I think it was 29,500. So our stock market is roaring and the economy is starting to pick up. The riots have proven that the lockdowns were all a hoax, at least the extent of them, and that with summer the sun is killing the virus, you know, like the science told us. This big hydroxychloroquine article that was about 3 or 4 weeks ago that was used to attack the use of hydroxychloroquine has been withdrawn this week. So the CDC and Fauci, they were using that to keep people from using hydroxychloroquine. It was a scare thing, and now they've withdrawn the paper because it's bad. It wasn't good science. So anyway, if you see what's happening, you know it's all politics, and it's all infiltration. We've been infiltrated at the top levels of our government from all people, from our enemies all over the world, China, the Middle East. We just have people that want to destroy us. The communists are trying to take us down. So anyway, pray for us, especially this weekend. I think there's going to be a 1 million-man march, and the mayor is trying to remove the troops before it happens so that they can, I assume it's so they can riot, and probably, they want to take out the White House. But anyway, Lord protect them. Okay, now, that's enough. I hope you guys are all already familiar with all this stuff. If not, it's all out there. And just be awake. It's not only here, it's also in the UK. The same forces are trying to destroy the UK. So it's an international business. So, okay, here we go. During the last week, we had 5 days of sunshine. And then the last 2 nights, we had some rain. So the temperature in Missouri is now up in the 90s. I think it's supposed to reach 93 today. And so most of my plants have been taken out of the greenhouse, and I'm just have them outside. But I still have some things I'm trying to sprout. The chives and the peppers and some other things. I'm always trying to plant new stuff. In fact, I need to be thinking now, you guys need to be thinking now about the fall and winter gardens. Now is when you start to plant some little ones so that you can plant them out, come August. You see the peach trees, some marigolds. Look at this guy. This was supposed to be my rice project, but it ended up being another butternut squash. I have so many butternut squashes all over the place. I did not get to potting up. This needs to be done. These are ready to be potted up, this basil, and I can give it away or whatever. I mean, I'm not going to need that many basil plants. You can see the flowers. I have not planted them out, but I did pot them up. Now, this is kind of neat. Sorry about my camera work. I just kind of point in the right direction. But look, the sweet potatoes, I got at least 2 of them. But you can see that one's sprouting, and so is this one. So since it's out in the heat and stuff, every day I come out and top up the water a bit. What is that? There's some type of insect in there. So, but this one has roots like crazy, but it's not sprouting. This one, I don't really see the roots, but I have sprouts. So these 2 are starting to sprout, but no, just a little bit of roots. So what I need is the roots and the sprouts together. So this one, and it's amazing. I'm surprised it's taken so long. I think this is like from May 11th is when I started this. So I'm glad I dated it. So it's been 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It's been almost, it's been about 4 weeks. So I don't know if those sweet potatoes had been sprayed. And you can see these, I've got some more. These are just not taking off like I thought they would. But they're trying to. They're not going rotten either though. So a little bit of roots. Maybe I'm taking too long on this. But anyway, hope you enjoyed it. But if you look at the videos, they always take off within a couple of weeks and you can plant them out. But it's not doing it for me. So I don't know if, I just bought those sweet potatoes at the city market. And they may have been sprayed or something with a non-growth thing. Who knows? So that's basil. Another thing that needs to be potted up. So that's kind of what the greenhouse is. Those are flowers. And I still have, oh, well, you don't need to see it, but you can see these guys. A lot of these have roots, but I haven't been able to. This is thyme. I had all those thyme cuttings. I put them in water to root them, and now I've got them going, but I haven't had time. I haven't taken time to plant them up or put them in cups. But I did buy some cups this week, little cups, about 5.5 ounce. So I do have it. I just need to make it happen. And I'm just giving those thyme plants away. I mean, it's not for me actually. So this is my thyme plant, and I've got a whole bunch drying right now inside. I've got a whole container full. That's another one of the lavender plants. But look, I don't want that tree in there. They try to grow everywhere. So I got lettuce. Actually, I'm not really eating that lettuce like I should. So I need to give it away. Now what I am eating is mint. That chocolate mint I use every day. There's also some catnip over there I'm using. But look at this. Well, like I said, it did rain last night. You can see the ground is wet. The last 2 nights it's rained. So my garden is extremely happy. We have heat and sun. And then in the afternoon, we'll have shade over a good portion of the garden. And I'm not sure if that's not a bad thing, a good thing, because it gets so hot. So we have my chives, those chards, which I'm not sure what chards are, but we'll find out. These are collards. I don't know who's going to eat them for me, but I've got a lot of collards. And of course, this is, oh, look at this. Every week I find another, you see that? Walnut tree. I really need to dig them out, but these are leeks in here. I don't want to disturb them. So they say that once you get these garlic tops, what are they, snaps, or anyway, whatever they call them, there's a term for them, but within a month the garlic is supposed to be ready. And you can see the other ones, the bottom leaves are starting to brown. So maybe maybe in the next week or so I can harvest those guys. So, and they say what they got, hard garlic and soft garlic. I've been watching videos, but they're saying the ones that put out the flower things, that's hard garlic. So these won't fall over. These will just turn brown. But soft garlic, I think, falls over like onions when they're ready. Now, look at that. So I've got a couple tomatoes. One here, and then pole beans. And one right here, ready. Look at that. Can you see them? So it's now starting to be tomato season. Of course, I've got the peas, and look how tall they are. Those guys are 6.5 feet tall. Can you see that? How tall they are? They're almost to the top of my fencing. You might have thought, why did you make it so tall? Now you know. And corn is starting to grow too. But look at that. And actually, I need to go through and pick peas. I haven't picked them in the last few days. And I saw a whole bunch of apples on my apple tree. Here, let me see if I can show you. You can see those two. You see them? So there's a few apples. Lord bless this apple tree. And look at this. Volunteer tomato, volunteer tomato. So I've got, you know, 10, 20, 30 volunteer tomatoes all over the place. In fact, that's a volunteer tomato right here. It's already bigger than the one I planted out because I had such trouble with the cold. So I got two. See, this is a volunteer tomato. And this is the, oh no it's not. I take that back. That one's the one I planted out. So it is a little bit bigger than this one, but not much. So, and I never did put any fencing around that tomato. So it's just laying on the ground. I haven't supported it. So anyway, that's kind of how things are looking. I ended up, all of the cauliflower got picked because they were all ripe. And so this area right here, now you can see I dug in right there, and I just, you know, organic scraps I buried. So that whenever I get a spot in the garden that's not having something growing in, I always put out the organic scraps into the ground to let them fertilize. Can you see how big that rutabaga is? Starting to put on a little bulk. Probably a ½ pound. At least a ¼ pound. Anyway, it'll get, oh, I take that back. I do have one cauliflower left. Look at that. And it's ready to harvest because the leaves are opened up. So in the next week I should harvest that. Of course, these two those may be cauliflower too. I'm not sure what they are. But they're leaning over and they're taking out my okra. So that's not good. I may have to rip them out and, you know, because I want okra growing there. See that little okra plant I was telling you about? You see? So there's a few of them in here. Okay, that's kind of what's happening here. Plenty to be done in the garden. A lot to be picked. Well, I'm out front. You can see the mustard. Now this is curly mustard. And this is hot. That tastes nice. So I got that taking over that bed. And the borage, wow, it's really spreading out. That's beautiful. Now, I have seen some bees out here. And look, the zinnias. See, hey, I got the name. The zinnias are starting to bloom. Those are the flowers that I've been potting up. So you can see a few zinnias coming back for me, and then a few I planted. So I've got a whole bunch I need to plant out, but they're real small right now. Of course, and I did plant out at least one of my lavenders out here, and then the nasturtium. These guys looking good. Slowly, the cucumbers are starting to climb. I need to train them a bit more. Like here, This guy, he needs to be encouraged to go up. Up. Oh well. I don't know if I did that very well. That one I kind of trained a little bit. So it looks like these onions are looking pretty nice. Look, that has a little bit of onion on it. And then these guys are looking good, but I don't see any squash ready to be picked. They're growing, they're starting to grow. You can see that little zucchini. And you can see some yellow ones in here. You see the flowers. And then you see the butternut. Oh, that's going to be everywhere. Nasturtium, I love that. The tomatoes are putting on some bulk. You can see the yellow squashes there. And the next week I can be picking those. And look at this guy. Guys, these butternut squash are starting to go. They're going to take over, it looks like. Now, I planted these guys out around the 1st of March, you know, before St. Patrick's Day. So these potatoes, you can see how they're starting to fall over and stuff. They're very close to ready to be picked. I guess I could probably pick some right now. It's been March, April, May. So it's been over 90 days. Normally 90 to 120 days, I understand, for potatoes. So these guys should be ready to be picked, some of them. So here we are in the backyard. You can see the cucumbers and peppers are doing pretty good. Cucumbers are starting to climb. I got some nice peppers there, poblano. And you can see the basil, that's doing pretty good, and the flowers, the marigolds. Now, marigolds are supposed to be a guardian flower, and so is basil, actually. They're supposed to keep away some insects and things. Now, let's look over here. We got a basil. Now, you can see how I harvested that mint way back. And I have it drying, and I'm using it in my tea. But I have a whole bunch drying. I'll just lay it out on platters for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I put it in a container. So I'll have dry mint when I don't have the plants. So I'll try and get the mint totally full. Look at that. That's a beautiful cucumber. Now I don't see, well, maybe a couple peaches. But that peach tree is kind of disappointing, isn't it? 2 peaches. Now, I probably, I hate to say it, the squirrels will probably get that. Now I did plant this. Finally, this little square here. Now I planted okra in here. Now, in fact, I put so much seed in there, but a lot of it was old seed, and I wasn't sure if it was any good. I don't see any of it really sprouting yet. And, but I don't think that's, well, maybe it is. So I may have 2 okra sprouting, maybe 3 or 4 or 5. Anyway, there's hundreds of seeds in there, actually, way too much, but it's old seed. So, and some of it didn't look like it was going to actually sprout, if that makes sense. So this is how things are looking. So this may actually end up being my big okra plot. But we'll see. Hopefully my front garden doesn't, doesn't fail me. So, anyway, this is a project. It's on my list. But look, I got all of these tomatoes. These are all volunteer tomatoes. There's 1, 2, there's at least 15 right there. Then one over here, a couple there. So this was my mushroom patch earlier. And I got volunteer tomatoes coming up, and then a couple of volunteer marigolds. 1, 2, 3, 4 at least I see. So I love that. I love the marigolds returning. And I did till, you can see I tilled that section. So I may plant something over there. I had my tiller out and working. In fact, I broke a wheel and then had to replace it, but that's life. These are my main place of getting the funguses. the ones that look like brains and the one that look like wood ears, which I love. Those are, I did actually get some today, both. So you can see that's so small though. That fungus are the brain type. At least I'm calling them brains. I had them on the last the names on the last video, and then the wood ears is kind of a proper name for the other ones. I don't see any wood ears at the moment, but I picked a few today, but just small ones. In fact, off of this log right here, right there. Oh well, maybe there are a couple little. You see those? That's wood ears. I hope they get bigger. So I picked some from that spot. So I did till this section here, and with all the wind, man, that is so wet. So I need to plant something there. You can see the butternut squash coming through the fence, and you know, that pumpkin has been pretty restrained over there. Well, let's give it a couple of months. I mean, it's not doing much more than the zucchini. I mean, I thought it would. Well, we'll see. So you can see I haven't been working in here too much lately, but the squashes are all doing great. Now, I did come and till over on this section. I worked over here along this fence like crazy. And I did come out and plant some tomatoes in here, and a butternut squash, and basil, and a marigold. And look, on the other side of the fence, I've been cleaning and I tilled that area. I may go plant some tomatoes over there for my neighbors. But look at this. This is a volunteer pumpkin. You see that? I had thrown some pumpkin seeds last winter right along here to see if they'd come up on their own. So they've come up. They're not doing much. Of course, this is right next to the tree, so that may be the problem. And I did plant 2 leeks in this swamp area. Well, this drainage area. You see them, 1, 2. We'll see if they thrive. And also a marigold. And I did grind up or chip up a whole bunch of wood. All that. Last week I had that pile in the grass over there. Well, it's chipped up now. So I put it here mostly. So what I'll do is I'll put wood chips and grass to keep down the weeds, and then I'm going to plant. And we'll see. This is a new garden area, and I'm hoping to plant on the other side of the fence. But the main thing is I was trying to get rid of all of the vines that were on the fence, and the vines would go way out into the grass, and so tilling it helps me with the battle, if that makes sense. So there was a double purpose, to plant but also to get rid of the roots. You know, we had poison ivy, we had see, you can see I stopped right at this spot. So you can see the things I'm fighting. These are honeysuckle. So the honeysuckle is a big problem, and among the honeysuckle there'll be other vines that'll come in there, especially the poison oak and poison ivy. Not that I see any at the moment. So I don't know if I'll plant in this area, because look, you see right above us is a nice mulberry tree. So that was kind of my edge. You can see that mulberry tree up there. But this area right here will get both morning and afternoon sun. So this gets a lot of sunlight right here. So anyway, look at all those butternut. So they seem to be surviving. We'll see how they do. Now in my backyard in this area, I often see deer. In fact, I had a deer just 2 days ago right in here. So that's what the battle is, deer, and there's some ground hogs that live in the area. I haven't seen them lately, but they also show up. So you can see the yellow squash. Can you see that? No, those are so yummy. So I got a few yellow squash coming on, but not really anything that's worthy of picking. So, okay, that's kind of the backyard. Now, the cherry tree, I did come out and try and pick some cherries. but most of them had already got a fungus on them or whatever, mildew, whatever you call it. But they turned black, you see that? And then the squirrels were up there eating the good ones. And by the time I got to it, well, there really just weren't any cherries to really be had much. So it was kind of a failed effort. And then the ones that I did pick, within a day, they kind of started to have a fungus on them, or whatever you call it. So they went bad. I only had a few. So anyway, this cherry tree, which I love, kind of failed me. I need to, I guess, trim it. I need to get more airflow, and I also, it's too tall for me to climb. I mean, to get a ladder up to the top. So I need to cut it back again, I guess. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this update. You can see things are taking off. I've got some other projects I need to get to. I did actually change out my car stereo yesterday. That was a couple-day battle of looking at YouTube how to take apart your panels and stuff, and how to take out the you know, the old radio stereo and put in a new one. I just, you know, it was just the CD stopped working and the radio stopped working, so it was a mess. But I got that done, and I got victory, and I'm, you know, excited about that. And oh, I got the deck that I need to paint. I need to pressure wash it and then paint it. So, of course, the rain. But still, and then this next week, Lord willing, I'll paint the deck. My back deck is not looking so good. And then, of course, I have the whole little greenhouse. I need to get my mind around that, and I guess start in on it, see what happens. But okay, well, those are the main things. The garden's going great. Love you guys. Be safe. And anyway, there's a lot happening behind the scene that we don't know is happening. And in the next month or two, I think you're going to see the economy of America just start to really take off. So it's already starting. Okay, love you. Bye-bye.